to give it up to the genius of Jenny Cohen and our amazing writers, the way they have planned this season out, the fact that it only takes place in a 72-hour period. It's really exciting.
Have fun storming the castle.
What castle? I think it's an unusual thing that they chose to do, and I think they still had a sense of real movement in story, even though it was kind of packed into these 3 crazy days.
Is this real, right? This is real, right?
We know the truth of Piper's story. She was only in prison for 15 months. We did one season where it was like a few weeks. Another season, I think it was like a month or 2 that it happened. And this season to really take place in 3 days, it's almost as if time did stop.
Who's in?
Good morning.
What's for breakfast?
You're looking at it.
No, I'm not.
We have to stay on top of continuity more than ever. You know, if God forbid you get a zit, you know, you have to like live with that zit for 6 months.
It also just gets a little bit confusing in terms of like, wait a minute, so have I like not slept? Am I ever gonna shower again?
I remember the scene where Danielle, who plays Tacy, comes out and gives this amazing speech about understanding our pain, and she gets really emotional about it.
Now, Judy King is free to leave. She's not a hostage, and you can have her back. Judy, get the hell out of here.
And we stopped filming that day, that scene, but then we didn't pick up the aftermath of when she walks back in until, I think it was like 2 weeks later. And so I remember I said, Danielle, how are you gonna do this?
God, what did I just do?
For myself, it was a season where Lorna was starting to feel like, am I going crazy again? Which is something, you know, that has a natural cycle for her. So that feeling was, you know, condensed into 3 days, but shot over such a long time. That means you're suspended in a place of like, am I crazy for a while?
I'm pregnant. That is a twist I was not expecting.
Lourdes.
Gloria. Lo van a llevar a cirugía. Pensé que si quieres hablar con él antes, a lo mejor te oye.
The biggest challenge for me was having to maintain that level of emotion. Gloria is at 100 throughout the entire season. She's struggling for survival. How am I going to get to my son? Emotionally, I was zapped.
I love you, Benjamin Mendoza. I love you so much. I love you more than my life. I would trade places with you. I would trade places with you if I could.
The biggest struggle for me was letting go of Gloria and going home and relaxing. I realized, like, at the end of the season, how tense I was, because when it was like that final day, I was like, oh my gosh, I have not really been breathing right.
When I tell you it's time, go with it, please. Hey, got it? Get ready. Fuck.
There was one episode that I'm in the rain, so I get soaking wet. So I had to be wet for many days after. It was like 2 or 3 weeks that I was still wet. And at one point I turned to costumes and I'm like, can Maria just find a towel? Because I would get dressed every day as I am now and then step into the shower and just crank it. So yeah, wet feet for like 2-3 weeks was not the funnest I've ever done.
Get this on tape, huh? Y'all want to bribe? Get this on tape.
My favorite moment really is setting the Cheetos and the tampons on fire. That was so much fun. I think it was our like set it off moment. You know, we got to be Jada Pinkett Smith and Queen Latifah for a second. Like, to me, it was just that badass moment.
None of our seasons before have ever taken place over such a short amount of time. And I think that adds its own kind of interesting dynamics. I also directed my first episode in season 5, which was amazing. I directed episode 10, Piscatella's backstory.
So, you're with me, always. Forever.
In the episode I directed, I'm literally directing while I'm wrapped up in a shower curtain with my hands duct taped behind my back and duct tape over my mouth. And in between takes, I'm like giving notes to the actors, and I'm like, action, you know, like whatever, it's like insane.
You are federal inmates, not the Queen of the fucking Nile. Tell me what you are so I know you understand.
It's really like Lord of the Flies this year in the prison. Root Beer's really excited about it because she is the embodiment of anarchy. Still has not made a cameo on the show, which seems... okay, we're all upset about it at home.
The humor is always there.
I always miss all the fun. I miss the lake. I miss the riot.
The mass shooter roaming the halls. Poor you.
While it is intense and while there is a riot happening, it's also, I think, one of the funnier seasons we've had.
Jesus, hey, what are you doing on the floor? Come on, what are you taking over?
Yeah, for real, we got guard hostages and everything. It's bananas out there. It's like a party, except terrifying.
The meth heads. They're just a comedic duo.
Ah, but I want drugs!
I think of us as like different pairs, like Abbott and Costello or Harry and Marv from Home Alone.
What was the good one that you were talking about today?
Robin Hood and Little John.
She's Robin Hood and I'm Little John.
We're always wondering, are we good guys or bad guys? We don't know. We just want to do drugs.
What if, like, this whole time we thought that we were Ariel, but actually Ursula?
Well, obviously, I'm Sebastian and you're Flounder. We are lovable clowns.
The writers were saying that, you know, this season is so dark and the subject matter is so dark that they needed a lot of Leanne and Angie in season 5. So we kind of scored.
Yeah, score.
Just to lighten it up.
Yeah.
Where's the cheese?
As soon as you think the scale has been tipped all the way into the shadow line, suddenly Genji flips the script and we're back in the sun. You know, I think that's life.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Why do you look so worried?
1, 2, 3. Fuck yeah. Sisterhood is powerful.
Red's family kind of gets back together again, and it was a joy to play with some of those ladies that I haven't seen in a long time.
Even though we haven't all been together during the season, it's like as soon as we see each other, there's immediate kind of history.
Well, they're all taking care of me this season, particularly my favorite daughter, Nikki.
Maybe instead of continuing to obsess over this whole revenge thing, you could, I don't know, look around at the consequences of your drug-fueled actions and apologize.
For what?
So we're still in the denial phase. Noted.
In the end, we're all sort of captives in Frida's bunker. Where the hell are we?
It's a long story.
They did such an amazing job at creating this underground bunker.
Well, don't dawdle out there. Come in.
At first, you know, all of us think that she's gonna kill us because you never know with her. But instead, it's this hideaway, this haven away from the chaos that's happening above ground. And Gloria really enjoys herself there for a little bit.
This could work.
This is amazing, Frida.
I got dibs on shuffleboard.
We have finally figured out what to do with our newfound power.
We're gonna host a talent show!
The talent show is just hilarious.
Litchfield Idol!
Litchfield Idol!
The best talent show in the world. That was the day where Jessica was like, oh, you guys have fun on set. She's like, I'm always crying. And I think it was cathartic for a lot of people to have a moment where, you know, our characters were still exactly the same, but everyone else who was involved was kind of like, all right, let's do this ridiculous thing.
We promised you the best of the bubble. We promised them a chance to show us what they got and live. This is Litchfield Idol. I just walked in assuming that I was doing what was on the page, And they were like, oh, no, we actually didn't write anything for you because you're a stand-up comic and you've emceed a million things and we thought you would just be funny. So I just basically got to ad-lib a whole bunch of stuff. But then I had to go, loop because I didn't really have a mic on, so I would ad-lib things they wanted to show, so then I had to go back and fucking loop everything. But it was great fun. It was so much fun.
There's a striptease. I'm sorry. There is a striptease. Did I mention there's a striptease? Sorry, it wasn't Laura Prepon, but you know. There was a striptease, and I hear it was hot.
Evan worked really hard on his dance.
Evan worked so hard on his
He
dance.
was very serious about his striptease.
He was. We practiced that thing long and hard.
The winner is Josh.
What? What the Hey! The decision is final! The hot guy wins!
You know there will be severe consequences for this. You know that, Ruiz. If you help me, I will help you.
That's what everyone that's ever fucked me over has said. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into the show, literally, to hold the mirror up to society so you can see from another point of view what's happening in the world.
I made a deal. Head of MCC said he would give me furlough if I released the hostages and ended all of this.
You're a brave motherfucker.
Bitches in here would lynch me, not call me brave.
You don't know nothing to no one in here. You ain't doing nothing every woman in here wouldn't do if she had the chance. So.
You would think, wouldn't you, that justice will be served. But in fact, I don't think it is. And I think that this is the reality of the underprivileged, of the disenfranchised, of the marginalized, and certainly of the incarcerated.
This man is no better than we are. And yet he gets to roam free and make our lives a living hell because the system that condemns us protects him.
I think there's so much kind of beating up on actors of like, hey, why don't you keep your mouth shut? Like, entertain us rather than talk to us about your opinion about the issues. You're an actor, and I think that what's nice about this show is we can actually talk about the show and talk about our characters as a way in to really speaking about issues.
We fed slop, we don't get paid for our labor, we denied education, we denied the chance to breastfeed our babies, we denied basic humanity.
The fact that we're seeing those policies change in our real culture, you know, makes me proud to be a part of a show that is willing to have that conversation.
What's going on in there is gonna change the lives of hundreds of women. And maybe if we do this right, other prisons will listen too, all right?
Season 5 was the biggest challenge of my life, but the biggest blessing. And it was challenging because of what was going on in the world. Because most of the time for me, TV, the acting is my escape. And so it was challenging in that way to continuously stay in the mindset of someone who is fighting for life and fighting for justice of those who deserve it.
You're the reason Luce is gone.
T, don't do this.
I've been down this road. You don't want to be like me.
The death of Philando Castile had just happened, and I remember watching his girlfriend, Diamond, give a speech afterwards and not wanting her lawyer to speak for her, but her using her voice and bringing that into the space. And just trying to translate that to the Orange is the New Black audience was just quite an experience I'll never forget.
Our fight is with a system that don't give a damn about poor people and brown people and poor